Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending in Accra, Ghana, where Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, declared that any leader who fails to perform should be voted out of office if proper elections are conducted. The former president was speaking at the 2025 Goodluck Jonathan Foundation Democracy Dialogue. He warned that democracy in Africa is going through a period of strain and risks collapse unless stakeholders come together to rethink and reform it. He described electoral manipulation as one of the biggest threats to democracy across the continent.
The problem in Africa is our electoral system. People manipulate the elections to be there by all means. If we are doing proper elections and if you are not doing well, people will vote you out. We may not even ask these questions. Because those who are not doing well, the population will vote them out. But in this case, people use government instruments to perpetuate themselves in power, even when the people don't want them.
He's absolutely right. Meanwhile, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, during the event, denied allegations that he sought a third term, saying that if he wanted it, he would have gotten it. Let's take a look.
There are still some stupid Nigerians who still believe that I wanted a third term. I think I'm not a fool. If I wanted a third term, I know how to go about it. And there's no Nigerian, dead or alive, that will say, I called him, I told him I wanted a third term. None. And I keep telling them that, look, if I wanted to get debt relief, which is more difficult than getting a third term, and I got it. If I wanted a third term, I would have got it. But some people believe that unless they are there, nobody else. They will even tell you that they haven't got anybody else. And I believe that that is a sin against God.
Wow. Let me take some reactions. This person wrote on X, "It's comments like this that really makes one wonder. Obasanjo is telling us to our face that the entire institution of state could not stop his personal whim, even when it violated the Constitution. Does he imply that even the incumbent can attain that goal if he wants it?" I mean, that's a pertinent question, because I saw Rufai saying something about Tinubu wants to remain in power. Let me take another tweet. This person wrote on X, "I saw a post about Obasanjo talking about his third-term bid and saying he'll have gotten it if he wanted. But I remember 2006 differently. The infamous third-term agenda was put before the National Assembly as part of a constitutional amendment to extend presidential and gubernatorial terms for 2 to 3. When it came up in the Senate under Ken Nnamani's leadership, the proposal was flatly rejected. Civil society groups, religious leaders, student unions, and ordinary Nigerians had already reasoned against it. The fear was clear. A third term could drag Nigeria back into sit-tight dictatorship and block the principle of power rotation. Even Obasanjo's close allies abandoned him when they saw the tide. In the end, the Senate threw it out, and with it went any chance of tenure elongation. It was a victory for democracy. It proved that at least once our institutions stood firm against presidential pressure." I mean, that happened, Dr. Abati. Correct me if I am wrong.
Okay, see, one of the things that President Obasanjo said at that Goodluck Jonathan Foundation program in Ghana was that, look, the government of the people is the government of the people. He rejected the idea of having a government of the majority, because he was also, some of the other things he said, asking for inclusion, asking for participatory democracy. In fact, he also gave that popular proverb that the problem with democracy in Africa is the practice of democracy, and that the insect that is dealing with democracy in Africa is the insect that is inside the democracy, the practice of it. So Baba also repeated that. But the controversial part of it that came out was not what he said about electoral reform, accountability, but what he said about third term. However, I argued earlier this morning that President Obasanjo threw a challenge that he was not involved in the third term gambit. That National Political Reform Conference of 2006 was to deal with substantial issues about the arrangement of Nigeria, about resource allocation and all that. But it was aborted on the basis of this this third term thing. In fact, the South-South caucus walked out of that conference, and that conference died, despite the fact that it was not backed by any legislation, any legal framework. However, now he says he was not part of it, so maybe it was a case of proxies. But one person has already come out to say Baba was involved in the third term, Dr. Usman Bugaje, who was on this program this morning. And he says he has evidence.
Correct.
So he has taken up President Obasanjo's challenge to say that no, President Obasanjo was involved in it. And I reminded Dr. Bugaje that he should wait for President Obasanjo's response. That evidence that he has, he will have to provide it. However, what is important is the role of the people in all of this. One of the gentlemen that you quoted said the people of Nigeria resisted it. And I think, to go back to the point about democracy being about the people, if the people don't want something, they will say they don't want it. And I recall that whether it was by proxy or by official sanctioning, Nigerian people rose and spoke in unison, media, civil society, that we don't want third term. Nigeria is not Rwanda. Nigeria is not Eritrea. Nigeria is not Uganda. Nigeria is not, I think, Zimbabwe. You people also try something in Zimbabwe. Nigeria is not all of these countries.
Mugabe did indefinite term.
Is it indefinite?
We currently have two terms,
all these
but they're
African
lobbying for a
countries
third.
where they review the constitution to extend limits.
Correct.
The most recent one is Chad. The Nigerian people say we want democracy.
Yes.
So this summon of that democracy dialogue in Accra, whether it was President Obasanjo or it was the guest lecturer, Bishop Kuka, or it was President Jonathan himself, or President Mahama, or Dr. Toure of the ECOWAS Commission, is that democracy must work in Africa.
Fantastic.
Democracy is in retreat. The voice of the people must be heard. Electoral reforms must be allowed. And we, the people, must be the one who determine what our future will be.
Well said.
So, in 2027, I hope people are listening.
Yes.
Because this is not just talk shop. It's about people listening and taking action.
Well said.
We thank God that tenure elongation did not happen in Nigeria. It must not happen here.
It must not happen at all. I was speaking about the speakers at that lecture, the Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Hassan Kuka, in his remarks during the Goodluck Jonathan Democracy Dialogue, advised Nigerians not to be deceived by what seems like quarrels between politicians. He explained that these feuds always end behind closed doors, where the politicians close ranks to share the nation's wealth. Let's take a look.
It's not so much the quarrels that politicians engage in. In fact, many ordinary Nigerians, including myself, continue to encourage our people. Please, when you see these politicians fighting, even if they are throwing chairs among themselves in parliament, don't kill yourself, because they will still close the door and distribute the money of state among themselves. In that area, there is no fight. So very often, many of us jump into thinking that, these politicians don't like themselves. No, they like themselves. Even armed robbers have common interests. So let's measure our enthusiasm, because very often we think that democracy is about to fall because our people are always fighting.
Armed robbers have common interests. You know how we say it? Don't die in their war. Rufai, on
Rufai. You see me, I like empirical wavulence.
Yes.
I'm a wavulence person.
Yes.
Baba Obasanjo, he said he didn't want to Baba, now this country we did, you want time, God did not give you. That's just it. Because there were many contending factors then. You forget he was fighting Atiku Abubakar then. One of the biggest problems then was that he had too many people he was fighting. And that's why some people in his own party stood against him. Let me read an excerpt of an empirical interview done by Farouk Aliyu.
You have empirical facts?
Oh, yes, from Vanguard newspaper, 2009. They asked him, were you part of those bribed for third term? He said, no, I'm not part of those. But he further said, supporters of the project were paid a minimum of 50 million each. Some were offered 250 million. I know Honorable Ningi was with us. I was offered 400 million. And Speaker Milu Bello Masari 500 million. All the money was in cash, not in check, to support third-term agenda, but they all refused to collect the money. So, the way President Obasanjo is saying it, it's almost like somebody is trying to review history, like tell us we did not know happened. It's revisionism, Baba. We respect you for what you have done for this country, but let's not revise history in our face. You wanted third term now, and he's saying if you wanted it. And how does debt relief have to do with third term? Please, President Obasanjo, with due respect, for the fact that you got debt relief, doesn't have anything to do with third term. That if you could got debt relief, you'll have gotten third term. There was a global zeitgeist to forgive Africa and other nations that were debt-ridden their debts at that point in time. There was a global zeitgeist because they felt it was going to reset this economy. But the debts they forgave those countries then, they've gone and taken more basic, people like Nigeria. So with due respect, don't revise history for us.
All right.
The move was there. Bugaji has confirmed it. Many more people will come out and confirm. And which politician, if he said he truly wanted, if he wanted to get it, he would have get it. Which politician will see opportunity and not take it? And that's why we are crying. Because as at then, at least you had the National Assembly that was, firm, and because he had a lot of fire. With this National Assembly, I asked Somna Sambo, that this National Assembly that we see, so the National Assembly, is it not National Assembly that ratified the state of emergency for its vote?
On your mandate,
we shall stand.
Okay, all right.